So what we're going to do now for the swirl dipping activity is produce a guitar, mini guitar. You can see the one on the right there with Pennridge on there. So the first thing I'm going to do with the piece of wood on the left is go ahead and laser in the Pennridge. This is called rastering, where it's going back and forth, very similar to a printer, and you get the Pennridge on there. That only took 8 seconds to do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over and I'm going to do vector. Vector is doing the cutting. So now what it's going to do is cut out the mini guitar. You set it up according to what type of material it is. This is 3mm birch plywood, and it should be cutting the entire way through. You can see this one's an acoustic guitar. You can see that when it dropped, then you can tell that it went the entire way through.
All right, so we're ready to start swirl dipping. What we have here is some room temperature water. We like to have the water out for a day or two out in the room to acclimate to the temperature. What we found is that really warm water does not work well for whatever reason. It doesn't bond real great. So it's nice to have a nice room temperature. We're going to swirl dip one of our mini guitars that you have and that you've seen get cut out on the laser. For this, we're going to use a red, a green, and a black. So when you're doing two colors, ideally, whatever's your accent color, your secondary color, you want going in first, and then your primary color going in. So we have our water ready. We figured out which colors we're putting in what order. The primary reason why this works is because it's an oil-based paint, and oil and water don't mix. So we can talk about a whole scientific background behind it. For right now, we're just kind of more interested in actually seeing it work. We're going to go with 1 to 2 drops of black first, and then we're going to go 1 to 2 drops of green. You'll see it sitting on top, that principle we were just talking about. And then we're going to start stirring it. There's not necessarily a real rhyme or reason to when you stir. You just kind of try and find an idea you like. The more it looks swirled on top, the better results you'll probably get. As this enters, I like entering from the back of your container and then bringing it forward. That way you can actually see. The faster I plunge into the water, the less effect I'm going to have on the guitar. And if I go back and forth real quick, I'm going to get a lot of action on here. So what I like to do is just enter somewhat slow, and we can do what's called chasing the paint, where you actually see what part you're trying to get on your guitar or whatever it is you're dipping. Once it's down there in the water, there's no paint down in the water, so I can move it around and then try and find a clean spot to then bring it up, and we have our dip effect. You can see that parts on the water where there wasn't paint sitting end up being white. All right, this time we're going to do red and blue. It doesn't hurt to give them a shake. If they've been sitting for a few days, it's worth shaking them a lot. So red and blue. For this, I'll do blue as my accent color. So again, 1 to 2 drops. You can see that was only one drop, and it really gives you a lot of coverage. The red, a few drops came out, so I have more red in there than blue right now. But you can see how that really is giving a nice effect. That red is my primary kind of color with some stripes of blue. So again, I'm going to enter towards the back with my good side facing me. The Pennridge on the guitar neck is kind of the good side. Right in here, there's not a lot of ink, so I'm actually going to stay away from that and plunge in here and slowly try and chase some of that red and blue, and it's still going to leave some white on the guitar. As I'm chasing it, I'm moving it back and forth. And now I'm down into the water. If I can, find a clean spot to then drag it back up and through.
Now using the same container, I'm going to do something that I like to do, and that's do some pencils. Right here you have a few pencils that I swirl dipped yesterday, and then I have a pack of fluorescent pencils that I got at the dollar store. So what I'm going to do is, again, basically the exact same principle. Just bring it back here, move back and forth, chase, try and get the color, There's a lot of red, so basically what I'm trying to do is get as much blue on here as I can. I'm all the way down. Now I'll lift it straight up, and then that's the effect. While we have this, what I'm going to do is another thing that I like to do, and that's a wooden bow tie. I'm going to add a little bit more blue in there, bring it around, check to see if I like it or not, and perhaps add a little red if we need that. You want to hit it one dot red in the middle. You kind of have to move a little fast while you're doing this, because what will happen is the ink will start to dry and form a coating on the cover. So what I have right here is a wooden bow tie that I made, and it's double-sided tape to this stick. So what I'm going to do is basically the same thing we've been doing. Bring it in here nice and slow. Why I'm going here is because there's a lot of red and blue there. I'm just going to go back and forth on here, zigzagging it. Now that I have it in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually clean the top off before I bring that out, so that I don't get like a double color on there. Now the fun part, what does it look like? That's awesome. So I'm very happy with the bow tie we did. Now I'm going to do another one in different colors. I'm going to add a little bit of white on there, and then I'm going to go to black. And the primary color that I want is green, so that's why I'm doing that one last. Whoa, a little bit more on there. And now what I'll do is the little swirly part. Looking pretty good there. Now I'll take the bow tie, figure out what I want, what my path's going to be. I think I'm going to start here and then come over and get some of this black on here, and then hopefully end up over there. So bring it in a little bit of an angle, get some of that black color in there, and then chase what's around on the other side. Now that I'm done, clean that off, bring it in there where there's no ink. Voila. Pennridge style bow tie. So here's the finished product. I'm very happy with the two bow ties. Both the bow ties did have about 5 coats of clear finish on to begin with. The mini guitars had 2 coats of paint on it. If you put a paint or a finish on it and seal it, it works much better. The results are much crisper on there. All right, now that we're cleaning everything up, one thing I want to do is just inform you that life's a lot easier if you take these and clean them up before you go and put the cap on. It's much easier to go and open them up the next time.
All right, so here we have 3 of our musical instruments that you can make here at the high school. 2 ukuleles on the outside and an electric guitar in the middle. All of them were primered and painted white beforehand, but you can see with the green guitar, it did have white in the swirl dip to come through with the green and white Pennridge idea. The ukuleles on the outside have multiple colors to give kind of a island, Hawaiian kind of feel to them. What we've started doing is experimenting. Now that we've learned how to do this and have done these, we've now started experimenting with other projects here at the high school, woodworking projects, but absolutely making sure that they're prepped, fully sanded, primered, and painted before we go to swirl dip them. Watch that front, don't pop up on you.
Take it up. Yeah. Oh, trust me.